Sir, we are live now. Varuni ma'am, we are live now. You can start, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. So I was saying that welcome to ASSOCHAM's international webinar on luxury, the new normal. Today's topic, I know for a fact, is a question that many businesses are still sort of coming to terms with. That's the new reality with the world sort of is, and how it is now. And let's set that as the tenor of our discussion today. And before I begin, I'll just quickly introduce myself. I'm a journalist. I have over a decade of experience with, India's biggest newspaper, business newspaper. It's called The Economic Times. I specialize in writing deep dive features on businesses which are both luxury and lifestyle. I'd sort of bring on Ajay at this point, and then maybe we can start after that, and I'll take everybody through what my thoughts were today.
Yep. So thank you so much. Thank you, Varuni, so much. And on behalf of ASSOCHAM, I would like to welcome each one of you to this international webinar on luxury, which is the new normal in luxury. And why I say this theme is because we all are experiencing some lockdown issues and challenges across the world. This is a global phenomena. And before I get into the subject, I would also like to briefly share what ASSOCHAM is all about. It is an apex chamber for commerce and industry in India, which was set up in 1920. And we have more than 450,000 corporate members across the country, and some of the leading global multinationals are also members of our chamber. And in 2012, we started this initiative on the luxury sector. And we were very privileged to have Altagama being partnering us for that initiative in 2012. And I'm also very pleased to have them today again. And also we have speakers from Walpole and some of the prominent speakers from the luxury industry. Thank you all for joining today. And as we just mentioned about the new normal in luxury, which is the theme of today's discussion, we also realize that the luxury brands have spent decades turning design, aspiration, and high quality goods into a multi-billion global behemoth. The coronavirus pandemic changed it all in a few short months. Sales have plummeted, leading to a forecast for a precipitous decline in 2020 revenue and massive uncertainty about the ability of many brands to rebound. The long-term impact of the crisis on brands will be just as dramatic, accelerating shifts in consumption and consumer preferences that will upset the existing equilibrium of power. You see, while we are discussing the luxury industry, keeping the COVID pandemic in the background, for India, there are two important flagship programs which are being pursued by the government of India. And one is under the Make in India program, where we can look at how we can explore the possibilities of collaborating with some of the global brands to make in India, under Make in India, in the luxury sector in India. And also to look at another major flagship program, which is the Skill India program. And some time back, I had the interaction with the Italian embassy people, and I did mention to them that we can always explore the possibilities of inviting some of the craftsmen, the Italian craftsmen, for Skill India programs, for training and for skilling the Indian craftsmen under the luxury sector, and how to make India a luxury hub for the global market. With these words, I would like to thank each one of you once again for joining this discussion today, particularly our representatives from Walpole and Altagama, Fondazione Altagama. And I would request all of you to please stay till 6. I think the program is from 5 to 6:30. So I look forward to very, very interesting interaction today. And with these words, I would like to hand over again to Varuni. Please take over. Thank you so much for joining, all of you. Thank you.
So the global luxury industry is as he said, a $380 billion business. Of that, India makes up a small pie, which is about 9.9 billion, according to some industry estimates. Now, it was growing at about 20 to 25% CAGR before the pandemic hit. So what, as he said, we would want to focus on today is 4 different sort of aspects, which would be, one would be the potential of Make in India, overall the luxury trends and their forecast, issues and challenges that are faced by luxury brands globally right now, and also collaboration between Indian and foreign brands at the moment. and potential collaborations, of course. So I'm going to, at the outset, I'm just going to say that can I request all speakers to keep their time to about 5 to 6 minutes so that then we have, we're on schedule. And we're going to start with the panel with Karan. So for many who don't know Karan, and I go back for some time now with Karan and we interact, he needs no introduction. He's a specialist banker with Yes Bank. His role is that of a senior president and country head for media, entertainment, fine arts, luxury and sports at the bank. Karan has been with the bank since its inception and has been instrumental in setting up and managing this sort of highly specialized portfolio. So Karan, why don't you tell us a bit more, in your experience, what is the new normal in luxury really going to look like? And are more international brands looking at India seriously right now?
Wow, that's quite an introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for whichever jurisdiction you all are joining in from. Ajay, great to see you here, and it's first of all, super kudos to you for holding the luxury forum year after year, and very close to this topic, the new normal in luxury. We've still managed to keep this going in spite of the global challenges that everyone has been facing. And honestly, kudos to getting this panel on board, and thank you everyone in advance for your time. So yeah, I've been fortunate enough to look at this sector within my working at Yes Bank since inception, and I must say that I'm an eternal optimist, but I think the times now are call for cautious optimism. And I think while there are many buzzwords of, like I was asked just now, Varuni, you said the love for international brands. And so I think, today we've got a very unique, challenge or opportunity in front of us, the way you look at it. You've got this, made in India, made for India, made for the world opportunity, which today a lot of international brands have seen over the years and have also, seen the, as you call it, the paramparik karigar, the craftsmanship that India has. And we continue in private enterprise with support from various concessions or opportunities that we get from various states. We try and see how, Indian enterprise can supply some part of the chain to global companies. But if you look at brands, I think brands have always had this, love for India. And I see that brands that have adopted technology in their physical presence as well have seen, have not seen that much of degrowth. But, having said that is a very easy statement. I was reading a very interesting article of Tory Burch in the latest version of Forbes, and a company of that size with 513 global stores in 35 countries, they had to, over a period of the first few months, shut down more than half those stores, recycle inventories, dependence of, for example, we've got Alta Gamma over here, the button on the Tory Burch comes from Italy. So, I'm just trying to see, if you look at the various pieces, the ecosystem of the luxury world has kind of, kind of had to rebuild, regain, re-enliven themselves. The inventories have had to change from various consumption times or various consumption patterns and styles, and have had to, shift. So I can really imagine the pain that not just Indian brands, but even global brands have seen from, giving furlough to restarting some of the stores again over the last few months, coping with, trying to get back to pre-COVID levels. A lot of our Indian friends over here, we've got Mr. Gupta representing DLF. We've got a very interesting panel, so it'll be great to see how every one of us over here is taken up the challenge. My role at Yes Bank is to continuously try and find a way to help Indian or global brands grow to their fullest potential in India. Also, very proud to say, and Parinita and a lot of you will also know, a lot of brands from India have also made their debut overseas. And I see that, using technology, which has actually been the catalyst and the accelerator, and those who've stayed shy to use it have, joined the bandwagon. I think we had someone from Tata Click also over here. So, I see I see the use of e-commerce and technology become even more stronger. But I think different strokes for different folks, because luxury is a wide spectrum, right from cars to beautiful experiences. I think the boost to homemade Indian-made luxury, the boost to luxury experience, indulgence, a lot of that is being experienced across the luxury ecosystem. And for the last thing, I think while the iconic brands will continue to have that wallet share or want of wallet share, but I think the affordable luxury, the aspirational, and the new opportunities that are presenting itself will also find its way in this. I would say in India, it's not such an easy market, so we really have to be here for the long term. But I think that's my brief summary, and would love Varuni to take us through with the speakers and what they have to offer. So really, here's wishing everyone a great session. I really look forward to everyone's views as well, and I'm happy to answer any questions if directed to me online or offline.
So, Karan, are brands really looking at India more seriously now as a destination?
Well, I think I think right now the world has become it's all global, because if you look at the way online sales is doing, I mean people are ordering anything from anywhere, depending on the amount of duties and tax, and that's a big pain area. But I'm going to leave all of that for tax and rents and everything for maybe in Mr. Gupta's session. But at the end of the day, yes, I think brands Indians are interested, but luxury is a very fickle-minded consumption. You have guys who are either very, very fixed on what they want, whether it's their sofa or their holiday or their clothes or their purse or their style, and then you'll have it's a very different connotation to say that but yes, I would like to say that foreign brands would love to find the right balance in India, the mix of physical stores versus digital, using everything from Instagram to every other foreseeable platform that could be rejuvenated for reaching the ultimate customer. I think the demographics of the country, the incomes in this country, the opportunities in this country are big enough to see brands both come in India, and without doubt, Indian brands also grow, which has been happening, and I'm sure we'll see more of that.
Thank you, Karan. Right. So I'm going to move on to Mahesh now. Mahesh is heading the IHHR Hospitalities. He's Vice President of Marketing and Sales and Business Development. IHHR owns the Ananda, which is a luxury hotel or a resort property, and it does phenomenal business from what I understand. So Mahesh, why don't you tell us a bit about luxury hospitality and running a business like this during the pandemic, and what has really changed for your business with travel outlook being so limited and perhaps heavily reliant on Indian consumers?
Sure. Thanks, Varuni. I hope I'm audible. And thanks to ASSOCHAM and Ajay for putting this together and having me on as part of this panel. So just to clarify a little bit more about Ananda, so we are a luxury destination spa. We set up about 20 years ago, and this is our flagship property of IHHR Hospitality. My career has spanned over 3 decades, predominantly in the luxury hospitality sector. So starting with the Oberoi hotels and resorts for the longest period of my career, and then for the past 10 years or more with Ananda. So I'm kind of wearing that combination of the luxury hospitality, but more so in the past 10 years into serious luxury well-being and wellness travel. And Ananda per se has, as Varuni was saying, thank you, it has remained one of the leaders with enduring success in the luxury space. So consistently recognized as the #1 wellness retreat and destination spa. So it's this is actually on a global platform and a global level. And this is actually quite a niche business. And I think, like Karan was saying, India has really, matured into being able to project and create these luxury brands, operating very specialized and niche businesses, but having the ability to put them on a global platform. To answer your question, Varuni, obviously, for all other brands, all other businesses, our business has also gone through the incredible challenge of the last 8 months being under lockdown. But we emerged, and as one would have expected, the luxury wellness business, I think, has emerged even stronger. Right now, we're only catering to the domestic market, but I can say it already that the green shoots of revival are very strong, and we're almost back to what we normally saw from the domestic business previously. And that actually gives me the right platform to introduce what I wanted to talk about and how I see the new normal in luxury. Because wearing my hat of well-being, I truly believe that the luxury of tomorrow, especially the times that we're coming out of, is actually going to be the luxury of well-being. Already the global wellness economy is valued at about $4.5 trillion. And I know that Parinita has a great handle on this, and she'll be speaking about all of this later. And that encompasses, of course, not only luxury, but many different segments, but luxury is a big, big component of it. And the global wellness tourism within that is already at about $650 billion. That's projected to reach almost $1 trillion by 2022. And this encompasses so many different components, whether you're talking about fitness and mind body, whether you're talking about wellness real estate, people who want to actually be part of wellness communities, or whether it is specifically to anti-aging nutritional products. So there's a lot of keen insight, interest into this entire space. The Indian wellness economy itself is projected to reach about $25 billion next year, a big part of which is operating in the luxury sector. And the reason why all of this is so important today, especially in a post-COVID world, is that focus on well-being, I believe, and I think it's universally believed, is poised to expand really aggressively. You just think about the various aspects that are turning out to be paramount right now. People know that what's going around today in terms of the challenges with us is not going to be temporary. It's going to keep coming around. So building immunity for the future is so important. There's so much of stress, anxiety, and trauma which is going around the world, and therefore creating products and services to deal with that is getting to be important. People have always looked to the East to develop more in terms of spiritual growth, and all of that is getting to be more and more important. So the entire world is going to start looking at purposive, tangible solutions for an entire life cycle. And that's why, to me, well-being is really the new luxury and the new normal. And I feel India has such a unique standing. We have always been a leader in holistic wellness, traditional well-being with Ayurveda, yoga, spiritual wellness, and we know this. I think the Indian government has taken a really positive and strong step the moment they introduced the Ministry of Ayush, and very few other countries really have this kind of umbrella and unified approach to developing alternative systems of healthcare. The important part is for a foreign investor or somebody who's looking at collaborating into India in the luxury space, there's such a significant domestic market. Like I said, we've already rebounded with Ananda reaching back to near normal on domestic business in the past couple of months. And we also have a very rapidly expanding international customer base who's looking for wellness solutions in India. Every luxury wellness industry needs a very strong backend. You can't get a more developed backend than the Indian infrastructure. We have more than 15 lakh registered practitioners of holistic well-being in India. Again, when you're talking about products, you can't get it better than this. You have almost 7,000 or more registered medicinal plants, which have created and contributed to a very rich biodiversity in India. So I think you put all of these elements together, and it's really a great opportunity, not only for Indian brands and brands like us. There are several other wellness brands which have really proven themselves on the global scene. But there's also further opportunities for collaboration between Indian and foreign luxury brands, whether it is bringing in scientific research and methodology, technology, whether it is bringing in more advanced systems. There's a lot of interest and a lot of buzz around wearable technology in the space of wellness, again, in the luxury space, whether it is bringing down globally acceptable product development techniques to the Indian traditional, herbal products, or just simply providing access for marketing and distribution and creating global access for Indian wellness. So there is so much of opportunity and wealth in this entire space. And I really feel that India is really poised to take this paradigm of well-being, wellness tourism, wellness products as being the new luxury, and taking it on a much larger global scale. So that's from my perspective. That's from the perspective of being at the helm of this wellness brand for 10 to 12 years. And I look forward to what some of the other panelists have to say in terms of how these collaborations can work.
Thank you, Mahesh. You talked about Parinita, so I'll go to her now.
Sure.
Parinita, if you can sort of hear me, I'm going to introduce you a little bit here. You're the chief editor and publisher of Peak Life and Millionaire Asia magazine. You bring with yourself 20 years of work experience in the wellness and lifestyle luxuries, spa segments with your magazines, and you kind of helped the industry really burgeon along with your expertise. So why don't we hear from you a little bit about the industry itself in the post-COVID world, and where business really stands at this point for a lot of companies?
Uh-oh.
Can't hear you right now. You're on mute. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Parinita ji, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you all.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so Mahesh just mentioned about wellness being the game changer, and I firmly believe that is going to be in the next year is going to be all about wellness. All travel is going to be wellness related. But today I am going to actually move a bit away from my favorite subject, which is wellness, and talk about what I think the luxury industry is going to be about. So we all know that the world has changed in the last 9 months, and how. Before the pandemic hit us, luxury in India was growing at a steady rate, but the impact has been a lot because this segment is very sensitive. So it's an important question for us to answer. Has the Indian luxury market gone back a few years, or has it actually picked up? Some would say that the Indian market has actually grown. And I actually think that the luxury consumer in India has grown. And I think my friend Prashant will agree with me that people are now buying luxury more in India because they're not traveling. Earlier, they would buy all their products from abroad, but now because there are weddings and people do want to, kind of spend some money, the ones who are able to, they are buying in India. But also, in the past 8 months, I have realized that a lot of Indian products have come up, and more so in the beauty space. In the beauty space, I found there are so many new products that have launched, and all international quality. Ayurvedic, natural, organic. Earlier, my biggest complaint with Indian beauty products used to be their packaging. Their packaging was never international, but that's not the case anymore. The packaging of Indian products is fantastic. And I've had the opportunity to try some of them. They are outstanding. So I think there is a lot that is going to happen in the Indian luxury market. With weddings happening, again, I think there has been a lot of buy-in. A lot of people have been buying luxury products, Indian as well as the international products. Another thing that I feel that has changed is the online buying. A lot of people have been buying luxury products earlier were never bought online. People actually bought them either when they traveled or when they went to one of the luxury malls. But now I think a lot of people have been buying online as well, which is, I guess, a good thing. Another thing that we have also seen is that there is this inverted pyramid phenomenon. The millennials, the Gen X, they are now actually not only buying the very high-end luxury. We are also finding that in a lot of stylists are matching a Zara dress with the Dior bag. So people are actually beginning to understand that luxury does not only mean buying something expensive, it means buying something that you enjoy, something that you relate to, especially the younger generation. I think the younger generation is understanding luxury in a completely different manner. They buy stuff that they enjoy. They buy stuff that, that is exclusive to their DNA. Also, I cannot speak about luxury unless I go to travel, because travel, we all know, is the biggest luxury in everybody's mind, and especially now. A luxury vacation is something that everybody looks for, a luxury vacation, a wellness vacation. And since the government opened up travel, I think the Indian had just taken to travel with a vengeance. And I can say that because about a month ago, I traveled to Tijara Fort and it was chock-a-block. It was full. If you go on Instagram, you will see that half of India seems to have moved to Maldives. Maldives and Dubai have become the places where everybody is going. People who haven't gone are planning to go. So I think the Indian consumer knows what they want. They are going to travel, and travel for me has always been the biggest luxury. Then we also know that we have the world's youngest population, and the new thought of the youth is indulgence. They don't see it as a guilt. They see it as something that is, they're happy to flaunt whatever they have, whatever they wear. So it's not guilt. It's about they take luxury in their stride. It's a part and parcel of their DNA. But then, having said that, I also very strongly believe that luxury means different things to different people. Luxury to a younger consumer may mean a bag, a pair of shoes. But for the mid-segment people, luxury is about the luxury of time, the luxury of health, the luxury of being able to do what they want, the luxury of, getting pampered, about something exclusive. So it's not always about expensive things. Luxury is not always about expensive things. So I think as we go forward, it's going to be a lot of international brands and Indian brands, and the collaborations are going to make a huge difference. So it's going to be interesting to see how, we have all been talking about vocal for local. And I really hope that the Indian luxury brands also up their game. Like I think the beauty industry has upped their game. And I hope the other products also up their game. And we are able to match the international brands and move along hand in hand. It'll be interesting to see what the other speakers have to say about how luxury is going to evolve as we go along.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Parinita. Very, very inspired sort of perspective. I'm going to move on to Stefania Lazzaroni now. Stefania is the general manager of Fondazione Alta Gamma in Italy. This is an initiative to promote Italian luxury industries in the field of fashion design, food, automotive, yachting, and hospitality, among other things. Stefania has about 25 years or more work experience in corporate communications, CSR, crisis management, and more. So could you tell us a bit about the foundation and how things have come along now post-COVID, and now that Europe is seeing, parts of Europe are seeing a second lockdown. So what does that really mean in terms of luxury for Italy?
Yeah, well, hello everybody. I'm really happy to be here, and thank you to ASSOCHAM for having invited again Alta Gamma. We're happy to support. Well, actually, yesterday we presented our luxury monitor, and so our data are quite fresh, and I would like to start from there, which is quite a thing. Yesterday we had a conference with 2,000 people in 9 countries. And we were discussing, the situation, because this year has been the first year of total disruption for luxury in a long period. For almost 30 years, luxury has been growing steadily, by 5-6%. Now this year, for the first time, we are foreseeing minus 23%, which is something we've never seen, right? So it's quite scary. And definitely COVID and the impact that the pandemic had on all the most relevant markets of luxury has been really, something that we will never forget. So now the total luxury world, was the turnover was 1.3 trillion. We expect this data to go down to 1 trillion for this year. But we are convinced that luxury has a solid basis. So we do foresee that starting 2021, we will see a recovery. Of course, the recovery will have a strong leverage in the recovery of tourism and of travels. So possibly in the second half of the year. And to go back to pre-crisis levels anyway, we foresee we need to wait at least 2 years. So we foresee that before 2022, we will not recover the same values. What can I say? The industry has been transformed, and we must focus on two main aspects that we would like to stress, and actually the same aspects that the speakers before me have underlined. First of all, local consumers everywhere, because we stopped traveling. Of course, Americans, have devoted their energies to American consumers. Europeans have devoted their energies to European consumers, and even Chinese, who were less impacted by COVID. Of course, they cannot travel, and they, of course, follow the Chinese market. The second thing is the growth and acceleration of the online e-commerce market. The e-commerce, was 12% of the total luxury sales. In 1 year, it has doubled. So in 1 year, e-commerce has reached 23%. So local consumers and online are really changing the rules of the game. Retail was down, of course, was down minus 21%, but especially wholesale, because it was suffering. And of course, without traveling, this has been heavily impacted. We agree that Gen Z, Gen Y, are, the generation that will drive the growth in the future. And Bain and company expect, that, the majority of the growth will come from this generation. But the winner of it all is China. The Chinese market, of course, was less impacted by the COVID, was the only market not impacted. And this year, they have been growing, and this is an amazing data, plus 45%. Plus 45% versus Europe, that was down 36%. This is 2020, this is a snapshot of what has occurred. Of course, the Chinese market was already quite relevant for the Chinese, and the Asian market in general was quite relevant for luxury. But this year, specifically, it was quite outstanding. So we foresee that the Chinese consumer will continue to grow in relevance within the luxury world. They were, amounting to about 30% of the total luxury consumer. They will be by 2025, 48%. But also the Chinese market, not only the Chinese consumer, will grow. So there will be a dichotomy in luxury between the Western world, Europe, and the United States, which are a solid market, and the Asian and the Chinese, who have totally different, set apart values, aspirations, and all of it, and the brands. And here I'm talking about Italian brands that Alta Gamma represents. Of course, we'll have to deal with a more complex and global, spectrum that needs skills and attitudes and investments who will need to be higher. So the categories that have been mostly impacted, of course, were fashion and hospitality. And I totally agree that wellness will be one of the key, the strongest point to develop. And we can see that now in the consumers and especially in the European consumers. So fashion and hospitality were hardly hit. On the other hand, design and, for example, were less impacted. Well, yachting, because of course, it's a dream about isolation and, it's a sort of private island. And design, because the rhythm of design is slower than fashion. And most of all, homes have been rediscovered as our cocoon, as a place where we can, in a way, isolate ourselves, and we need to work from our home. We need to get well in our home, relax, do some gym. So the approach that we are having at our, it's very changed. And that has helped design, the luxury design, that has decreased by 10% this year, but not by 25% as all the other categories. What we were discussing yesterday is that luxury and the luxury world is changing also in terms of values. It's not as much about product, it's also about the values that you represent. It's as if, every brand, and especially Italian brands, feel this deeply because they have been impacted by the health issue that we have experienced. It's important to make a stand in the world, and so the values that a brand represents are as important, excellent. So the luxury world should, in a way, position itself as a leader, as a role model, and also involve itself in society and, what's happening within society, and values, new values about diversity, about recognition of, what's going on all around the world will be relevant, especially for our luxury brands. So we do believe that the luxury world is still solid. We foresee that we will completely recover by 2025, but we will have a couple of years, of big changes. Our financial analysts, of course, agree that we will have a double-digit increase in 2021 by more or less 14%, with an overall EBITDA of plus 23%, because most of the companies have been also cutting costs and, reducing a lot of expenses, so the EBITDA will be even better. But definitely it will be next year, the first year of recovery, and then it will take a couple of years to be back on place. But as you were saying, Mahesh and Parini, I was listening to you. I believe that the values of sustainability, of wellness, of health will be crucial and will impact all of our brands.
Thank you, Stefania. Just before I come to you, Prashant, I'd like to welcome Sumita Davraji from the Ministry of Commerce to our panel. We're waiting to hear from you, ma'am, in a little bit. I just wanted to say hi because I think your video is not on. So Prashant, let me come to you. And for those who don't know Prashant heads two of India's biggest luxury malls. Prashant is highly skilled in luxury retail. He does tenant management, footfall growth, and digital marketing, among his many other skills. I speak to Prashant for many stories, and today I'm not going to be hounding him for that. But Prashant, with two of the country's biggest luxury malls under you, what are your learnings and key takeaways from the COVID pandemic and the business year that is, and also has the already troubled luxury market in India, probably, is it going to take another further nosedive?
So, the way I look at it is that, of course, all of us were very concerned when we were all in lockdown and the projections were quite low as to how the luxury industry would recover. But what has happened actually is that the luxury industry in India has had the fastest recovery. And I'm talking about retail in specific. And if you look at the international luxury brands, and as Parinita was saying earlier, and quite a few other panelists, what was happening outside India is very different than what is happening within India. A lot of Indians used to go abroad and shop. So Dubai, Singapore, London, and Paris used to be hotspot destinations for luxury shopping along with the United States. With the curb on travel, the Indians who were shopping abroad have now completely started shopping within the country itself. What puts Emporio and Chanakya in a very unique position is that we have brands which are destination brands. So if, you could pick up any of these international brands that are present in Emporio, Chanakya. These are the only stores that you would get within the entire northern part of the country, or in some cases, the only store in India. So we have seen a very, very sharp recovery as far as the international brands are concerned, and quite a few of them have in fact beaten their last year sales level as well and are showing a considerable growth. What is also, what is also quite starkly visible is that the trends have changed in terms of the mix that was earlier existing before the pandemic has completely changed now. There is a lot of focus on athleisure. There is a lot of focus on accessories, whereas the focus on made-to-measure, formal wear, and couture has completely died down because people do not have occasions to go to as far as these particular segments are concerned. So there is a change as far as the retail mix within these brands is concerned. Of course, there is a difference between how the international brands are operating or behaving in terms of their sales performance versus the Indian fashion designers. Indian fashion designers continue to struggle because you do not have social occasions. Marriages have been cut down from a very large number to just 50, and that also brings down the shopping for that particular segment. What we have seen as far as footfalls is concerned with both the luxury malls is that, as far as weekends are concerned, we're almost back to normal pre-pandemic levels. And as far as weekdays are there, we're at about 70%. People have had the confidence to come back to both Emporio and Chanakya because of the safety measures that the malls have taken. And, generally people, whenever they're approaching whether a luxury hotel or a luxury mall, tend to feel far safer than to go out in an open market. We all saw what happened in Delhi during Diwali, where there were scores of people in all the markets. And suddenly now we have fresh lockdown measures all across the city because of, a large number of people being present without, social distancing norms and otherwise. So luxury industry from that perspective, I think has fared decently well, both from a retail perspective and hotels, which are destination resorts. City hotels continue to struggle because of the lack of travel. Parinita, Varuni, you're on mute. Varuni, you're on a mute. We can't hear you.
I lost my mute button somewhere. Okay, so Prashant, do you think that we're going to make a quicker recovery than the rest of the world then in that sense when it comes to luxury?
Yes, definitely. As far as luxury retail, and I'll be specific about, as I said, there's a difference between international luxury retail and the pure luxury retail. So I feel that the international luxury retail has already bounced back to a very, very large extent and will continue to do so in the next year as well. While the Indian couture brands would take their own time. Till the time we have a larger number of gatherings coming in, you see more weddings happening, it'll take a little while.
Okay. Right, thank you. I'm going to come over to you, Gitanjali. Gitanjali is the business head of global luxury at Tata Click Luxury. It's a premier marketplace and a website for luxury retail, if I'm right. Gitanjali, could you tell us a bit about, what your post-COVID strategy really was? Because while other businesses were grappling in terms of, reaching their luxury consumer, you sort of were already present in the market. And did you gain favorably on the back of the pandemic in that sense, and were you able to catapult more customers onto your platforms?
Yeah. Hi, Varuni. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. So quickly to introduce first Tata Click Luxury to everyone to set a context. Tata Click Luxury started around 3 years back. We were the first movers in terms of an online marketplace play in premium to luxury brands, right? So I would say anything aspirational to affordable and pure luxury are the kind of brands. We have two focuses: Indian luxury and another is international brand. We were growing at a fast pace. In fact, when we started, we were not very confident as well that whether online will be able to do justice to luxury brands per se. Because luxury will itself, kind of brings out a lot of intangible values like the experience you get, what you feel, the service you get, which perhaps is not very easily replicable in an online environment. We have had huge success. So this year, maybe because of the entire behavior change and also the fact that we are building the brands the right way, we are already at a 200% growth. There are various factors to it, right? So I think that there is demand across India, right? So 60% of our sales currently comes from non-metro towns. So there are rich HNIs sitting in West Bengal, rich HNIs sitting in areas of Punjab or Uttar Pradesh, who basically are aware of these brands, right? So they don't need assurance of quality when they're, say, buying a Armani or a Bali or a Montblanc, right? They know that the product is excellent. They're using these products day in and day out. Now, what is happening is that they don't have access. The minute you can provide them access, a similar or if not better brand experience, and when I say brand experience, I mean the way you present the brand, the quality of product, the after-sales service you will provide, that. And when you can provide a trust, and that trust perhaps comes from the Tata name. If I'm making a high value online purchase, somewhere at least in India, people trust the Tata brand name, right? That my problems will be taken care of. These three factors have really helped fuel our growth. We deal right now only in personal luxury, personal goods luxury. So this growth I'm talking about is primarily personal goods. That also, there was a shift post-COVID, definitely saw a dip in a few months, April, May, and June. But after that, the growth has been extremely high in triple digits. In terms of categories, interesting thing we observed was that mix, as previous panelists also mentioned, has changed, right? So footwear did struggle, formal wear did struggle. We saw a lot of growth in gifting categories. In fact, a lot of our consumer research also showed that because people were not meeting each other, giving a good gift or giving a gift which would last for some time with the other person was forming a way to connect, right? So accessories, handbags, watches, these were kind of gifts which were being bought, and this is what led to the higher growth in these categories. We've also seen increase in, so a part of our business model also deals with Indian luxury brands, and we also supply out of India, right? So these are great brands, right? They are great luxury in their own mind in terms of their craftsmanship, the heritage they have, and there's a lot of potential which is there for these brands to sell outside India, which is where now we are seeing a lot of shopping also happening from US, Dubai, these kind of markets. So I think the potential is huge. Obviously, online is just scraping the surface, right? The luxury industry came onto online quite late, and still it is not there as to what you would say it's happening in China, right? And I think this is one of the reasons why China perhaps has still grown, because it was always very online forward as a market. So for me, if you ask me a personal outlook, looking from someone who manages online business for luxury brands, I am very positive. So people will buy, is just about whether they can get access and that assurance of these products to be easily available, and having that peace of mind and having that human touch even if you're buying online. It cannot just be a transaction, it has to be a full experience.
Right. Thank you so much. That was a very interesting sort of perspective you gave us. I'm going to move on to PB Venugopal, President of Lexus India. Mr. Venugopal is responsible literally for driving the growth of the brand in India. And as an extension of your brand portfolio, of course, you also look at, India is one of the more emerging economies, and Lexus is focused on that, from what I understand. So, sir, could you give us a bit of your experience in luxury car sales in 2020, and what your sort of projections are for the coming years? Because from what we understand, the sector is not doing too well right now.
Thank you very much, Varuni, and thank you very much for all the panelists. Very interesting insights, and many of them have a very common DNA even with the automobile industry. So before I talk about certain specific guest behavior or customer behavior in this luxury automobile space, let me speak first about the market. When you compare with the developed countries, the luxury market as a percentage of passenger car market is more than 10%. Whereas in India, it's still at 1.2%, between 1 and 1.2%. And 2018 has been the best year for the luxury car market. So what is the future? And like all of you, I'm also a very optimist person. So what we consider is that some of you have also mentioned about the young population that we have. And that is something which gives us great confidence that more from a mid to long-term point of view, India's got a great potential, and this luxury market will definitely grow at a much higher pace. But whether we will have a V-shaped recovery as far as the automobile space is concerned, our estimation is definitely not. So we anticipate a more gradual and a W-shaped recovery. And that's also seen during the festival season. Maybe there is a short-term impact on higher sales, but gradually 2021 will be a gradual recovery. But we anticipate by 2023, the volumes coming back to the 2018 level. So while we've spoken about the market, so what is the trend that we see from the customer point of view? I think there is a very important trigger that our guests are looking at, associating themselves for responsible luxury. If I have to give a specific example, we all know that major cities in India are highly polluted, and environment is one of the biggest concerns for all of us. And so all the automobile manufacturers are trying their best to see how we can contribute for a better environment in India. So from Lexus point of view, I would like to give you some figures that we have introduced the complete range of self-charging hybrid electric vehicles. And our hypothesis, we launched in India 3 years back. So our hypothesis was that 40% would be the purchase reason because it's hybrid. But today, after the COVID impact, we see that percentage rising to almost to the level of 70%. So we see guests associating themselves with more responsible luxury. And how we have also altered ourselves is that we are trying to make our guests carbon neutral by planting equal number of trees. So which is what our guests will become more proud of, being associated with responsible luxury. I think all other manufacturers also are moving towards that. One of the panelists also spoke about values and trust. I think that's extremely important for all the brands, especially in the luxury space. So how we create value is, it's not about selling a product. It's also about creating and making an impact to our country. So through the Lexus Design Awards, we have tried to build a platform for young designers to find the solutions to the problems faced by the Indian society. So similarly, many other manufacturers are also aligning themselves to create platforms to create a better tomorrow. And when we speak about trust, it's all about the ownership experience. It cannot be transactional. Car buying is a very emotional experience for for Indians. It's more like a festival. So we have to create some kind of an amazing guest experience. So in the luxury space, customers are looking at single point of contact to deliver solutions for the complete ownership cycle. So that is something where we are very closely working on developing Lexus relationship managers and care managers to be a single point of contact. I think Ajay mentioned a very important point about Skill India and Make in India. So if you look at the skill level of Indians are quite good, quite high. And that actually motivated us to become the 4th country in the world. Lexus is manufactured in only 4 countries across the globe, and we become the 4th country where we have started making Lexus in India. So why this direction is because we were very much in line with the government direction of Make in India and Skill India. And looking at the technical and skill level of our team members in the factory, we trained them with Takumis. Takumis are craftsmen who spend more than 60,000 hours in actually crafting a Lexus. So there is huge amount of skill potential that is available in India, which is what we would like to harness on. And we would like to spread this skill level across the manufacturing industry. And so to summarize, I think India is a great market. And from a mid to long term point of view, it's very promising. We have a young population which will change the world. The new normal is definitely not static, it is dynamic. And it's very important for all of us to stay grounded and keep listening to the customers and accordingly keep changing our strategies to keep them first in our mind. That's all from my side, Varun. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you. No, I think this was good. Maybe we'll come back to you in the end, perhaps. So I'm going to ask Charlotte Keesing. Charlotte is Director of Corporate Affairs at Walpole, UK. She works closely with the Director for numerous business activities and develops corporate affairs strategies in the UK. So Charlotte, I'll welcome you and I'll ask you, could you tell us a bit about, what's happening in terms of the global pandemic and another, like I said earlier, also another lockdown, perhaps? What does that really mean for luxury businesses? And then I'll bring the conversation back to India a little bit for you, and I'll ask you where does India really stand in terms of luxury?
Please, thank you very much. Oh, thank you so much. And it's terrific to be here with you all. And as Walpole, we've been a great supporter of working with the Indian luxury goods market and exploring collaborations together. And I've really enjoyed hearing from all of the other speakers and nodding wholeheartedly in agreement with all the trends and the comments you've identified. In terms of the impact of the pandemic here in the UK, prior to COVID, the UK luxury sector was growing at something like 10% annually, worth 48 billion to the UK economy, and growth really being driven by the fashion and power categories, watches and fragrance, fragrance and beauty, watches and jewellery, automotive and hospitality, all driving through phenomenal growth. In terms of exports, our sector very internationally focused, with our key markets absolutely, as many have talked about already, being China, the US, the Middle East, and about 80% of our goods are exported overseas. But we're also incredibly lucky to benefit from international visitors coming to the UK as well. So a strong period of sustained growth. And then, of course, COVID hit, and it hit us all at the start of the year. And first and foremost, a global health crisis with devastating impact, affecting the most vulnerable in the world. Pulling back though and thinking about the business perspective, we've seen because retail and hospitality are the twin drivers of luxury, they've been some of the hardest hit by nature of the dependence on the physical experience in the physical store, but also the importance of international visitors. When I kind of go to London now, it's a vibrant living city, but it's a ghost town at the moment, and that's incredibly challenging for the UK luxury sector. Our stores were closed for about 3 months or so, and we saw trade down to about 90% of what it would normally be, and consumer confidence very severely hit. And of course, no international visitors. And to Stefania's point, wholeheartedly agree that we're looking at a longer recovery period. Our CEOs foresee a very kind of a difficult trading climate for the next 12 to 18 months, and not getting into kind of back into growth until late 2022 and 2023. But as a lot of people have highlighted already, the luxury sector is incredibly resilient. They've weathered many storms. Businesses that are hundreds of years old are able to kind of draw on that, their heritage and their expertise and experience to weather this storm as well. And certainly, we've seen the enforced digitization has been a huge benefit of what has been a devastating global health crisis. We've seen something like 6 years of digital growth in just 6 months, and amazing innovation coming from businesses, particularly around the selling experience. Great examples of that would be the Burberry and Tencent collaboration in Shenzhen. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it is an amazing new social commerce store that fully integrates the physical and the digital and the social experience seamlessly. Also, here in the UK, as we've all talked about, by nature of the need to support a local customer, everybody's really had to innovate in how they manage to stay in contact and how they stay in touch and how they continue to connect and grow opportunities. And we've seen terrific innovation around digital selling experiences, one-to-one, very bespoke, high-touch experiences that have really helped to drive consumer engagement and loyalty as well. Of course, the growing dominance of Asia and China, the figures that Stefania pointed out from Bain, China is going to be 48% of the global luxury goods market by 2025. All of our businesses have had to either quickly recharge their China strategies or quickly pivot to be able to take advantage of that Asia surge. And another point to pick up on is the growing rise of sustainability. We saw this pre-pandemic. It was 90% of our member CEOs put it in their top 5 agenda points. We see that's now in the top 3. And that is really being driven by a consumer who is much more conscious about their consumption, wanting to be more responsible. And they're therefore demanding brands are doing the same. And there is a greater role and a greater kind of count that brands are being held to as well. And we'll certainly see that continue to grow and flourish. And I think it's a huge opportunity for the luxury sector. Stefania and I are already collaborating on sustainability work. It's a massive opportunity for brands and businesses to work together to tackle some of the biggest sustainability challenges of our decade.
That's interesting. So you both talked about your China strategy, and I will bring Stefania in as well. What about your India strategy?
Yes, so we've been great supporters of the luxury goods market in India, and actually spoken at a number of conferences, and I've led 3 delegations out. So and my other role, my international role, there are definitely absolute opportunities. The Indian customer is incredibly highly connoisseur. It's got phenomenal connoisseurship and a real appreciation, I think, for the heritage and the cultural ties, particularly with British luxury brands. We're really keen on things like collaborations. We've seen some terrific collaborations between our member brands and Indian designers. And there's a huge opportunity, but there are challenges, aren't there? And particularly around some of the kind of FDI requirements, but also some of the manufacturing requirements as well, which are not insurmountable, but it does require all working together to see that kind of the next flourishing of the Indian luxury goods market.
Right, thank you. And what about you, Stefania? I mean, can you tell us as well if India is going to be a big focus for you in the coming years?
I think we should refocus on India. We did actually in the past. That was about 2 years ago, and there was insurgence. And I think we should refocus on all the Asian markets and expand and diversify, because as I was saying before, having a dichotomy in the luxury world between West and China, it's a bit too much. So I think Italian brands are becoming aware that it's really relevant to diversify and establish good relations with different partners. some of them are even thinking about, reinforcing the made in Italy kind of status, which is so impactful on all our brands. I think we should. And the Fondazione Alta Gamma has also in its mission to expand the international presence of our brands and support them in this development. Actually, this year we had this in mind and we wanted to create an Alta Gamma club in China. We might do that in India. We're very in touch with the Italian Ambassador Vincenzo De Luca in India. He's a good friend and we wanted to do it, but COVID has really disrupted also these plans. So hopefully, because of course we can start doing something like that, but it is really important to build relations and going back to really seeing people and establishing new projects together, which requires an ability to travel, to see each other, to get to know each other. And of course, this initiative of ASSOCHAM is really relevant from this perspective. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So I hope we see more Italian and UK brands in India making for India as well.
Varuni, can I just ask a few questions? One question to both the reps from Valpol and Alta Gamma, please. Varuni, do you have a question?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So my question is to Stefania and Charlotte about the issue which I raised earlier that, am I audible? Yeah. So because, so UK and Italy has traditional expertise and experience in the luxury market. So, and India being one of the markets, I mean, vis-a-vis, you have been also talking about China. So what we are trying to explore is that if you can have your craftsmen, we can have some exchange programs where your master craftsmen can come over and train and skill our local craftsmen. So we would like to explore that possibility because we also have the additional secretary from the Commerce Ministry being present here today in this discussion. And also, as you already mentioned about how you look at India as a sourcing, I mean, not only a market, but also as a sourcing destination for luxury products. If you can have your comments on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like me to go first? I'm very happy to. So absolutely, we're always open to collaboration, and particularly, I think sharing, exchange around craftsmanship is so important. There is so much. Many cultures can learn from each other, and that exchange and that diversity of experience is super valuable in terms of how we grow and ensure the future of the luxury goods sector. Absolutely, we'd be very happy to talk further. Very much happy to talk about exchange. And then in terms of manufacturing, there are very established manufacturing hubs globally for luxury and particularly in the domestic markets as well. So it's a great question, but it's very complex in its answer. And I think probably deserves a much longer discussion other than on here, but we're always happy to explore opportunities and find ways to collaborate.
Craftsmanship is a very relevant topic, and as you know, for Italy, craftsmanship is really essential to our, to the excellence of our products. So much so that we are now experiencing a sort of crisis because our younger generation seem less interested in pursuing this kind of career, and that's why Alta Gamma has been monitoring the situation and is, creating an initiative to enhance, promote and protect the concept of craftsmanship. Of course, also in France, the same problem. Many conglomerates, French conglomerates have done so. We are doing it within Italy. And this is a program that can really involve many countries in Europe and all over the world. I think luxury, the exclusivity of luxury rests fundamentally on the ability of doing things with a savoir-faire, with an artisanal ability that is 4.8 in terms that is not the same craftsmanship of the Renaissance. It's a digital craftsmanship. So we should teach our young, audience, and we should communicate to families that there are amazing opportunities in this field, and that the skills required are both, cultural, because you need craftsmanship, but also digital, innovative, contemporary, and so forth. So there is space for a program that can tap into that. And that would be really relevant also because, for example, in Italy, especially lately, we have an unemployment rate of about 30%. Can you imagine how good this would be, if, luxury companies could unite and do something for a social issue? And this goes back to what I was saying before. Luxury is not just a product. Luxury is a state of mind, is a role model in terms of values. And we should do something also to help our business, of course, but also giving back to society. And craftsmanship is definitely one of the topics that allows us to do that.
Thank you. Ajay, would you have any more questions or should I move along?
I just had a request about this monitor report you mentioned about, Stefania. Did you mention about that report? Is it possible to have a copy, or is it in the public domain?
Yeah, I think I can definitely extract some of the information. I mean, we usually give the whole report to our members as a benefit, but, in views of the fact that we really want to establish good relations with India again, I think we should discuss this absolutely. Let me just inform also Bain & Company, which is our partner, and of course we do that together. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Over to you, Ernie. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to shift the focus to Sumita ji now. Ma'am, if you can hear me. Sumita is the Additional Secretary for the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade at the Ministry of Commerce and Industry for the Government of India. She has over 20 years of experience in public administration. So, ma'am, why don't you tell us a bit about what's really happening from a government point of view? Will there be any stimuluses that would be announced for the luxury sector? Because a lot of the people that we speak to often tell us that they're not happy with the way the tax regimes are structured. So I'd love to hear from you, ma'am, and anything you may have to say on this.
Thank you very much, and good evening to all from India. It's been a very interesting conversation I've been listening to on luxury brands and the multi-billion-dollar global industry that it is, and how it is a growth engine, no doubt, in terms of the livelihoods it creates, the incomes it generates. So it's been very interesting, and I have also been listening to views on how the pandemic has brought in a lot of uncertainty with respect to the revenue and with respect to the sales. What will be the short-term and the long-term impact of the pandemic on the luxury sector, on the luxury brands? There have been several views on that. The consultants, BCG, have noted that there is likely to be a three-phase recovery of flatten, fight, and future. What are going to be the timelines? Now, that would be interesting to see. Meanwhile, there are concerns over travel-related shopping, and the opportunity comes in terms of the online shopping, the opportunities offered by digitization, which would help the luxury sector have sales which are from more diverse sectors. So that is an opportunity in itself. There will, of course, be brands which are seen as timeless, which already have incorporated the digital platforms in the distribution channels, which have an advantage. And there will be brands which are on their journey to digitization. What impact all this has on different countries? I've been hearing your questions and answers. And as I can understand, it depends a lot on when travel is going to be revived and also the local demand in the country. When we talk of local demand, India is a huge market, and that's where there is a greater opportunity for the luxury brands in two ways. One is in terms of India being a consumption market, India being on a growth path with respect to consumption, which comes from the households where the incomes are increasing. There are projections that by certain years, let's say by 2027, there's a projection how the incomes are going to increase, the increase in the number of nuclear households, the rapid urbanization, the young population, the increasing consumer spending, the ultra HNIs in India, the digitization and frequency of shopping, which has gone up, the penetration of luxury goods in the second and third tier cities of India, which is very interesting, how 44% of India's millionaires now live in the emerging towns and cities. So no doubt, India is a huge consumer market, and that is very attractive to the luxury brands. It's also very interesting. I learned today that 5 Indian luxury brands are in the top 100 in the world. The Titan Company, Kalyan Jewelers, PC Jewelers, Joya Lucas, and Tribhuvan Das Bhinjis are very, very interesting. So while India is seen as a huge consumer market, and especially now with the festival season here, India is also a great opportunity in terms of offering manufacturing, in terms of offering its labor, which is cheaper and skilled. So somebody was talking about skilling the labor in luxury goods. And I heard talk about Make in India, and you have put the Make in India logo also here. So in terms of leveraging India's own heritage in terms of the designs, the unique designs, the craftsmanship, the artisanship, the labor which is available. How about more collaboration between the Indian and foreign luxury brands for more manufacturing in India under the Make in India, under the Atmanirbhar Bharat? And that is where, when you talk of a stimulus, we are creating a very attractive investment ecosystem in the country. We have put on fast track the clearance of investment proposals, whether they are domestic investments or foreign investments. We have created the project development cells in the various ministries, and we have the empowered group of secretaries to make sure that clearances are fast tracked for investments. And we have a GIS-enabled land bank today, so that an investor sitting anywhere in the world can select a suitable site where he or she would like to make some investment. We have Invest India, and you have Invest India as your partners today for this webinar. They are here to facilitate, to handhold the investments. And that is where one sees a great future for manufacturing in India, and India as a manufacturing and export hub for luxury products. I am very interested in seeing the recommendations of this webinar, which are coming from the various speakers and the consultations we've had today on what are likely to be the trends, the forecast, particularly how we have a plan for leveraging India's heritage for Make in India, the skills which are required for the labor in order to be able to support this kind of manufacturing on a bigger scale, any issues and challenges which we face in India, how to overcome that so that we have greater collaborations, greater investments in the luxury sector for the domestic market, since, as we all know, India is a huge market, and also for exporting from India with all the benefits and advantages which are there of manufacturing in India. So this is from my side. I'll be very happy, and I look forward to receiving the recommendations and any other dialogue which the luxury sector would like to have. We can, from DPIT, we can facilitate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Would any of the panelists have any questions for ma'am?
Okay, since there don't seem to be any questions, I really look forward to the recommendations. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So Varuni, we are at
Yes,
the
sir.
concluding stage of this discussion, and we had the privilege of listening to the Additional Secretary, Ministry of Farmers, Government of India. And we still have panelists here. If they have any questions amongst themselves, they can just put it across, or we could conclude thereafter. Maheshji or anyone else? Karan, if you have any questions or any inputs.
I just wanted to jump in with one point which was coming to mind as the various panelists were speaking about the aspects of luxury. And this is one of the biggest learnings that we've had during this entire period of pandemic is while luxury is very resilient, but there are segments within that which respond differently. One of the most resilient aspects of luxury is wherever we've been able to become a part of the luxury customers' kind of life cycle or the entire like journey. That has been actually the most resilient part. As luxury brands, one has to remain cognizant of the fact that the process of luxury doesn't end with or end with that sale. It continues for a long time later. And at Ananda, we have been working at that, and we've had some very interesting results. So now there is almost there's an entire brand journey that we created, which actually tries to manage the customer's health cycle well beyond the time that he or she comes in and stays at Ananda and concludes the wellness program and goes. We are now talking about managing your health and wellness for a longer term period, like 3 to 5 years. And there is a commitment with those customers saying that this is how that journey will happen. And we found that ever since we started deploying and engaging with customers at that side, from that end, even within India, because right now our only customers are from India. 70% of our clientele used to be international, and that's completely at a standstill right now. So all the customers are from India. But this strategy has really changed the way clients engage with us, and that's actually showing in the results. What I didn't mention initially was that in the 3 months since we've opened, our average spend per night, and that's the kind of metric that we use in the luxury wellness business, that's actually jumped by about 25 to 30% year on year. And the reason that's happened is that because people, because of the higher degree of engagement, they've become like longer term customers, but also because they value the added safety and investment that one is making towards making the luxury much more defined and much more purposive. And I just wanted to end by saying that there are still very positive signs of what luxury brands are able to do even during this challenging time. And that's a big learning for us that we've had.
So Mahesh, I have a question for you. Has the Indian consumer segment increased, or is it still at 30%? Have you got?
It's actually jumped a lot, because I was talking earlier 30% by value. So not only has the number of Indian customers actually increased significantly, people have been totally kind of really cooped up and shattered by this extended lockdown. And the first thing that they wanted to do when the lockdowns were eased was really go to some place to rejuvenate and completely get away and not go to very crowded places. So the idea of coming into a like a 100-acre place, just total expanse and be able to do that was on one side. So we saw an absolute increase in the number of customers, but we also saw an increase in the actual trend of what they were consuming. So historically, if people were only able to take out 2 or 3 nights to come up and spend at Ananda, today you're seeing that change to a week or some 10 days or 2 weeks. So the nature of consumption is changing. If you had people earlier more aspirational and coming in just to tick it off their bucket list and to say, okay, I'll just stay in any room category. Today, you're seeing people making a beeline towards the top accommodation categories like suites and villas, because that level of privacy and that level of luxury consumption is changing. So it's a very interesting trend, even within the domestic consumption market.
So you said that you were actually engaging with them for the next few years. So are you being in touch with them, giving them digital sessions and stuff like that? So you're staying in.
So right from the time the pandemic started and the lockdown was imposed, we kind of shifted our entire wellness service delivery into digital. So we've been conducting yoga classes daily, which have been attended by people globally and not only in India, and also a lot of online consultations. So the digital has been happening. But yes, I mean, this is something that people have really taken to heart, and they've actually gone much deeper into their consumption of wellness services from that time.
Great.
Thank you. Do you think this is a blip in the metric, relying on the Indian customer, or do you think this trend is here to stay and that it will make for a stronger business proposition to rely on the Indian consumer?
That's a great question. I think while one is very positive on what's happened with the Indian customer in these trends, I think it's going to go from strength to strength because it really changes the. I don't see it as a blip. This period has really forced the Indian customer to really consider going local and to appreciate and understand what is there right in this environment. So I don't think that's going to dramatically change or fall off the cliff the moment outbound travel opens up or other restrictions ease up. But in the long term, I would love to see both of them going parallelly. Even today, we have people, our long-standing guests, dialing in almost every day from various geographies, whether it's the Americas or Russia or Middle East or Europe or Australia, saying, look, we're ready to come. We really need to come and we want to come in and do these, invest in our wellness, and we missed the fact that we can't do it. We're just waiting for a time when either the vaccine comes in or we're able to travel or travel restrictions ease up. So I think they will go hand in hand.
Right. Thank you, Mahesh.
Thank
Ajay, yes, please go ahead.
So I have again a question to Stefania and to Charlotte regarding the experiences they had about the Chinese market and the Indian market, because both have had some past experience of both these markets. And what will be your recommendation? What will you recommend? How should the Indian luxury market develop in the future? So if you can just share your experiences on that. Thank you.
Would you like me to go? Who would you like to go first? Shall I go? I'll go first. Thank you so much. It's a really good question. Yes, obviously from the Walpole perspective, we've worked a lot on the Chinese luxury goods market and numerous events and trade missions, and a lot of work also helping to encourage and educate our members on the Chinese consumer. And we certainly have plans to do a lot more in the market as well. In terms of India, similarly, and same with Stefania, actually, we did a lot of work actually on the Indian luxury goods market, probably a good maybe 10 to kind of 6 years ago, with both events and conferences in London, where we were thrilled to welcome a number of amazing speakers to London, but also then taking delegations out to Mumbai and to New Delhi to explore opportunities. There certainly is a wealth of opportunity. There is scope absolutely to do more, but I think we need to sit together and really kind of go through a number of kind of action plans and points to kind of explore how we can kind of deepen those relationships again and find new ways to work together, even if it's just as simple as some brand collaborations initially, but then look into more detail into how we can expand opportunities in market, but also for Indian businesses coming to the UK as well. It would be a pleasure to do so.
Well, thank you. China is a big market. It's a very complex market. It's very difficult to tackle for Italian brands who are not part of big conglomerates. As Charlotte was saying, only 7 years ago, we were not in this situation, and Chinese market was very tiny, so everybody is pioneering in this sector. So what we're doing is, first of all, we opened an Alta Gamma club in China, which pulls together all the brands, all the Italian brands who have offices or managers or CEOs based in China, in Shanghai predominantly. And so we exchange best practice, we exchange information, we liaise with institutions so as to raise, the awareness, the visibility of all the brands, and not just, the ones that are Italians, but maybe are part of a French conglomerate. So we want to help all of our brands. And there are huge potentials also for example, other luxury categories that currently are not present in China. So first of all, it's an evangelization, information, knowledge sharing. And second of all, we're trying to explore the digital capabilities that are very different from the Western one, very complex. A few days ago, it was announced the agreement between Richemont, Farfetch, and Alibaba. So this is a sign that the Western world is getting into the Chinese ecosystem, digital ecosystem, which is very complex. We met with Alibaba and some other, digital platforms, and it's very complex for a brand that is Italian, and with many of our brands are family-owned businesses and do not reach the 1 billion level. So for those, it's quite difficult to expand, to understand, to put in place all the investments that are required, especially now post-pandemic. So association, governments, partnerships, pooling forces, joining forces can be the way to go. It's very complex, but that's what we are exploiting. And Alta Gamma is an expression of the will to better compete through cooperation, even pulling together different segments, not just fashion, but also design. For example, design opened in China 3 years ago, the first Salone del Mobile in Shanghai. I was present, and we presented, the Italian lifestyle with a major video. And so 3 years ago, it seems yesterday, but it's a huge time for what has happened in terms of development. And now in China, new brands are arising, new creative forces, Chinese creative forces are arising. It's a completely different market. So yes, we should of course, be present, expand, and as a foundation that is very much in contact with family businesses and so forth, I think the relevance of association like ours and our ability to integrate and join forces can be strategic. I hope I have answered. It's not an easy question. It's definitely one, it's an objective for all of our brands, and we should continue to do so. Our Alta Gamma Club in China has been postponed to the new year because of COVID. So we will take it from there. Thank you very much, Ajay.
Thank you. Ajay, would you like to give the concluding notes?
Yes, thank you once again, Varuni, and all our fellow panelists, in particular the Additional Secretary of Ministry of Commerce, speakers from Walpole, Alta Gamma, and all our esteemed panelists here today. Thank you so much on behalf of ASSOCHAM. And also, I would like to, in the concluding remarks, comment that we would like to explore the possibility of having some kind of an understanding, some agreement with the Alta Gamma and Walpole in the future, because I keep on hearing this Alta Gamma Club in China. So that is making me quite interesting. And so therefore, I look forward to many more interactions in the future. And I hope today's interaction was worthwhile. And thank you once again for being here. And please stay safe, please stay healthy, and please take care. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stefania. Thank you, Charlotte.
Bye, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you for a lovely conference.
Karanji, thank you so much for joining. I know you were in Maldives. I could see that.
Bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Venugopal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you, Varney. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.